Dwayne, I want to thank you. Thank you for becoming part of the Daddyhood movement. This movement is to encourage and motivate dads to continue to do what they're doing, and as a resource for fathers to get some direction and gain some wisdom on how to become a dad. As we spoke in the past, and I told you that it's a difference between a dad and a father. Daddies spend more time with their children. They have a connection relationship with their children. Versus the father, it's just based on the relationship based on DNA. And so I just want to again thank you for being part of this movement and allow me to invite you onto my platform so you can give some words of wisdom on your experiences being a dad. I just want to take, before we go into an interview, can you take a quick minute and just introduce yourself?
Absolutely. First, let me just say thank you, man. I truly appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and grow with you, as well as learn from you, brother. This has been a phenomenal experience. Just a little bit about myself, man. I'm passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about personal leadership, developing yourself, becoming the person that I believe that God has called you to. I believe a lot of men lack this place called purpose and potential, right? And so I know over the past few years, this has been my growth spurt, and that is being able to walk in my God-given purpose. I'm passionate about helping men overcome limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and championing themselves, finding the confidence to do the thing that's in their heart to do. I believe it was one of the things that really hindered me from becoming the best version of myself. So today, I run a nonprofit called Men of Vision Colorado, where I work with formerly incarcerated community in personal development and in leadership. I do a lot of work with a lot of organizations, helping them craft their leaders to be more grow emotional intelligence in how they approach leadership, from those different aspects. I'm a man of faith. I believe that you can do anything if one, you can believe you can do it, put a plan to it, and willing to execute it on it. But most important, I believe you can do anything that because one, God has already called you. He's already equipped you with all that you need to do whatever you've been called to do. So get to this place of trusting God through the process.
Yeah. And I think everything that you just explained definitely connects with Daddyhood, because as men, these are some things that the things that you mentioned about dealing with confidence and being able to make decisions and truly understanding who we are inside and out. It definitely is a part of Daddyhood. It's definitely a part of being a man. So I thank you for you doing what you're doing and having these real conversations with men, which is definitely needed and necessary for if we're going to grow and be effective in the community. So your dad, tell me, what does Daddyhood mean to you?
It's a great question. I know when we spoke sometime in the past, I thought it was interesting that I heard you say once that I'm a daddy. And I thought about that. And I believe there's a difference between a dad and a daddy. You helped me kind of shift that thing, right? And most guys, I don't know too many guys who want to be identified as a daddy, right? And when you think about a daddy, I think it's intimacy. I think it's connection. I think it's relationship. I think it's self-sacrificing, if I could say that. Just in that capacity of being a daddy, not a dad, but a daddy, meaning that you're giving of yourself and you're doing it willingly. There's nothing holding you back from it, being vulnerable or exposing your heart.
That's real. Because how I look at it, and I explained to you how, based on my experience and me growing up without my father and looking to have a dad in my life, a daddy as a mentor told me, share with me and help me understand, your children, they call you daddy as they are growing up. And this is when you have this connection, as you were speaking, that you're very intimate with your child, that intimate relationship. They're calling you daddy. But then once when they start to smell themselves, they get a little older, and they grow into that independent stage, which is natural. You know, you go through the dependent, the independent, and the interdependent. Once when they get to that independent stage, you start to become dad. You start to become dad. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, hey, they're growing up. They're growing up. And not saying you're not going to be called daddy, but that's when dad come in. You know, it's like if you look at it from in the spectrum, you got father being the weakest of it. Daddy is like that. When you're raising your children, you're what? That's when you're laying the foundation, you know, in that intimate relationship that you're speaking of.
Yeah, no, that's real good. Absolutely, that you laying that foundation, and there does come a time where they separate daddy. You know, I'm not sure if my kids done that yet. I'm not sure if they've done
something we look forward to.
You know, I think I'm still daddy, and they're up in age. I ain't got no knee highs. My kids are mid-teenagers, and when I mean mid, I'm talking about 15, 16 and older. My oldest is 30, 31. You know what I'm saying? And to him, I'm dad. I have 5 girls and a son. So to him, I'm dad, you know. But to the girls, I think they're still, shucks, my 22-year-old still call me daddy. you know, so there's still that connection there. I heard you say though, that fathers, there's a separation between a father or a weakness there, you know. And I consider to be weak as a father because I don't see fathers necessarily as weak. I mean, tell me, give me the definition of father so I can better.
Okay. So when I say weak, it's more of the weakness in the relationship.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, in the relationship with it. No, they're not weak.
Yeah.
But in regards to the relationship with the child, it's weakened.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
And the more you build that, I mean, take what you were saying, because you gave a great description of a daddy. You know, that intimate connection, that relationship, the stronger that is, then that's where you're moving into daddyhood.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where you're in daddyhood. Yeah. But if that connection isn't there, no, you're father. You're just a father.
No, I love it because, that's why I asked you to give me better understanding on that because, you're to your point. We have some fathers, but we don't have many dads or daddies, right? Men aren't living up to that model of a daddy, you know. And I can be as transparent as to say I'm one of those individuals that I know who my father is, who was never a daddy to me, if that makes sense. And in lieu of my mom remarried, and Pop, I call that's my name for him, right? That's the intimacy of this relationship. Pop has become not just a father figure, but he's become a dad and a daddy to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But there is a disconnect between fathers who father kids, but they're not fathering or stepping in the role of a dad or daddy.
Yeah, that's real. So in what you're doing with the leadership and the men that you're encountering, have you encountered some men who are struggling with that relationship and making that connection with their child? And if so, you know, what would be some advice that you would lend them?
Wow. I believe as a whole, there is a disconnection. When you think about the population of people I work with, most of these guys being incarcerated, I'll just give an average from 3 to 10 years, you know. And so with that disconnection, they come back into the family dynamics and think they ought to pick up from where they left off, not giving recognition to the mere fact that, one, mom's been holding it down the whole time, and two, while mom's been holding it down, there's been a different set of rules. There's been a different set of guidelines. She didn't do things like you may have done it, and you come back into the family dynamics, and you think you ought to pick up from where you left off, right? You think I'm the prince, I'm the king of my castle, so the king is home now. Things back in order, kind of get back in order now, and now we are a dictator in our home versus as a fathering or daddy connection. We haven't molded the connection. We haven't taken time to heal the pain or the hurt or the brokenness. And I think this is where I find a lot of men at, but it's not just in the formerly incarcerated community. You have men who get up and go to work every day. They're the breadwinners of their home, and they leave all day long, go to work, and they come back home, but they forget that mama is working and she's taking care of the kids, right? Mama governs from a different place of authority. And then you have this place where now we're fighting for position, because again, I'm the king of my castle. This was a place that I was in for a long time. I didn't share this, but some of my experience is military experience. I've been in the military over 23 years. Deployment here, overseas, Iraq, Korea, Japan, you name Alaska, you name it. I've been all these different places, right? And so I'm coming and going. I got training camps I have to go to, training exercises that I have to go to, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the case may be. I'm in and out of my kid's life, right? And then when I get home, there's some friction between the wife and I. She's been doing things a certain way, and I don't like what I'm seeing. And so now I want everything in order, and I want to slam the hammer down. We're going to get back in order. The king is in the house. And something I had to learn in my own relationship, and don't get it twisted, Saeed, let me be real. It took your boy a long time to get this one right, Kat. Right? It took your boy a long time to get this one right. But there was a lot of friction in the house because I kept trying to get things back in order how I wanted them. Until I got to this place where I began to realize that the king of the castle isn't about position. Being the king of the castle is about understanding who you are as a leader, right, as a man, right? And every king in his castle has a queen. Right. And I'm not sure that many of us understand that the king, he don't do jack.
Right.
He's sitting in the room by himself. He got the scepter in his hand, and anybody that wants to have communication with the king in the castle, he points the scepter, and they're able to come in and have an audience with him. They're able to sit down and communicate with him. And many of us are leading like this and don't realize in our homes that we're leading from a position of kingship, but don't understand that we don't need position to lead. We need to understand what leadership looks like. Who am I as a leader? And when I begin to understand that not only does the king, that's how the king operates, but when you understand that there's a queen in the castle, the end state is the queen run everything.
And you know what? You made me think of a couple of things, and you kind of like beat me to the punch because as you were talking about the men returning home from prison, I was thinking about the correlation or what's the similarities between a man who has served in the military, was deployed, come home, and because they haven't been home for a while. Like, what's the similarities between a man who served his country to a man who's been incarcerated? And you kind of answered that. And I'm thinking about recently, I was in a conversation with someone that I'm close to. They did they were stationed in I want to say Japan. But when they came home, they were away from their kids for some time. And so the mom, she had got deployed. And so he had to spend time with it. So it was just him and the kids. And he said that was one of the best things that could have happened because he was able to get to know his kids on an intimate level. And he said for the first few months, he said, man, they got away with murder because he wasn't going to come and just lay down the hammer and discipline them right away. he had to get to know them and figure out how they moved.
Absolutely.
Or he became the bad guy. You know, when you discipline your children, you become the bad guy for a moment.
Right.
You know, instead of being a bad guy. I'm like, that's how daddyhood works. Like
that is the model. Literally, that's the model. And to your point, so here are some things that I was struggling with. I was, and my kids were a lot younger, but there was a big disconnect. You know, I'm a soldier, and I don't want to use this term loosely. And many men do. You know, who have a little military history. We think, well, I'm a soldier, and this is how we did it, and it worked for me, or this is how my dad did it, and it worked for me, or this is what my mom did, and it worked for me. And I'm here to tell you, those traditional ways may not be the way for you as a leader to operate. And it was something I had to learn, because my wife would tell me, man, every time you speak, man, the girls would cringe. So what do you mean? My voice is deep, you know. Right. They knee high, you know what I mean? You're talking to them like they little soldiers. Well, you know, I gotta share. I got on my arm. This is a whole nother thing. On the back of my arms, it says "Daddy's Little Girls," and I got all their names tattooed on the back of my arms. I know that's a side piece, but no, it just made me think of it. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, you're just talking to them like they're little soldiers, and I need you to soften up just a little bit. And I'll be honest, it offended me. It really offended me for my wife to tell me, what do you mean? Like I can't be a father to my kid, or I can't be a dad to my kid. And this is a broken mindset. As a leader, I believe that you have to be able to take constructive criticism and weigh it. You know, even when it comes from your wife. Hold on, you have a term that you call your wife. What did you call your wife? You remember?
My accountability partner.
Yep, there it is. There it is. My accountability partner. You call it your accountability partner. The queen comes to serve the king, man. And when we understand that we lead, we don't have to lead from a place of position. We just lead by understanding who we are as leaders.
Right.
We can allow our accountability partners to speak into our lives. You know, I think what some of the brokenness that men have is that we're having broken communication with men who don't lead themselves well. You know, your wife tell you what to do, or you gonna listen to that?
Right.
You gonna let her talk to you like that? Absolutely. She's my accountability partner. Absolutely. She's the one that keeps me in line. She's the one that helps regulate these relationships with my kids, my children.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you know what? It makes me think of the in scripture it says, "I give you a helpmate," but a helpmate that's suitable for you, right? You know, so the helpmate that's suitable for you. So she fits you. Now it's just a matter of, as the man, as the husband, it's just a matter of you allowing her to play her role.
Yes.
Because she's there for you.
Yes.
You want to maximize and become the best leader that you could be. You got to allow her to play her role and fill the void that you're missing.
Yeah. Yeah, play her role. I love that. And that's the key right there. And as men, we don't want to allow the queen, we don't want to allow our accountability partner, we don't want to allow our wife to play her role. Took me back to scripture in the book of Esther. You know, Esther had to play her role as the queen, you know, and thank God, I can't remember the character's name, the king's name, but just imagine if the king hadn't allowed Esther to play her role, to have audience with her and speak to him in her own wisdom, you know, and I think it's important for us as men to really adhere to what our significant other has to say, our wives have to say, our accountability partners have to say. So much so when my wife spoke to me and said, "Hey, listen, I need you to tone your voice down. You scaring the girls. They don't want to come and talk with you," you know. And so what I did was I start toning down. Not only did I start toning down to the place of point you shared the story about the guy whose wife went to the military, he had to get to learn his kids. I began to start learning my kids, meaning understanding them, what made them tick, what they like, what were some of their preferences, how they like to communicate, you know, what they wanted to talk about, you know, those little things, man, are key to building better connections, you know. I can't remember, someone said this, that, and I think I heard it from Jay. I heard it from Jay Chase. He said, you have to first learn to listen, then you learn, and then you lead.
Yeah.
Listen to the hearts of those that you want to connect with. Learn what their preferences are, and you're able to lead them. And that's what I had to apply in my own life to build better connections and relationship with, to becoming not only a best version of me, but becoming a better daddy.
Right. Yeah, because I think, as as men, we have that stereotypical role of a man or a leader and how we're supposed to lead, and I'm the man. And then the fact you just naturally as human beings, we try to make everybody fit into our world.
Yep.
And so I'm not going to treat you the way you want to be treated. I'm going to treat you the way I think that you should be treated.
Yeah.
And that's backwards. It's backwards. And I know we say treat others the way you want to be treated. Well, that I'm not negating that. That is true. You treat others the way you want to be treated, but you want to be treated with first class. You treat others with first class.
Yeah.
That's really what that means. You want the best. You give someone else, you give them the best.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And the only way you're going to know what's the best according to them is by what you said, listening. So that's that. Yeah, I agree.
That's real good. I like that too, when you talk about treating others in a manner in which they want to be treated, and then you gave that last piece about and while the golden rule is treat others in the manner in which you want to be treated, you first have to understand how you prefer to be treated, and if you want the best for yourself, well, give the best to others. That's a real good point right there, because I think sometimes when we think about treating people how we want to be treated, we want to treat people about in the manner in which of what we want at the moment in time. If I took you to go break bread at the local pizza shop, and you wasn't a meat eater and you prefer veggies on your pizza, but I wanted the meat lovers, how would I be treating you? Would I be treating you in the manner of your preference, or
right.
You in my what I prefer for you to have?
Right.
So that's good.
So this Daddyhood movement is really helping fathers make that transition, and people who are dads. I'm a dad, not a perfect one, but I'm a dad. Helping us become a better version of ourselves, helping us become better dads. So nothing should be stagnant. We should all evolve. So yes, it's all about us getting to the next level. So continue to watch the rest of the interview, and you'll get some information if you want to follow Dwayne and what he's doing. But yes, the shirt is on the website. Also, too, there's some Daddyhood stuff. If you like that, you can find that on the website as well, www.forloveofwisdom.com. All right, for love of wisdom, peace. Let's grow. Yeah, I learned this. So my wife one time, it's happened on 2 occasions, so it took me a little while to learn this, and I'm still learning. And it was our anniversary, and I said I'm going to surprise. We're going to take anniversary pictures. We talked about that's something that we would do. So I hired a photographer, and it was all set up. I had the scene where we were going to go, and she was like, "Well, what are we going to do?" And I said, "Just be relaxed, just dress relaxed. We're going to just have a good time. I got a surprise for you." Man, disaster. When we arrived at the park, and she saw this woman coming out, and she was like, "What's up?" I was like, "We're going to take pictures." And she looked at me like, "Oh, you think I'm prepared to take pictures?" Like, she didn't say that, but she had to explain to me, like, that's something that you wanted. I didn't want that.
Wow.
And she told me what she did. She said, "I told you I don't like surprises." But you were being selfish in the gift that you wanted to give me.
Yeah. And
I didn't understand it right away. I'm like, "Oh, you think I'm so ungrateful?" And I'm upset. She upset. But I felt to self-analyze my thoughts and my intentions. While my intentions were good, they were wrong.
That's real good though, Saeed. You made me think too. Just think about this, when we get in constructive criticism, it doesn't feel good, right? And sometimes we can get self-centered, thinking it's about us. But when the truth is, if you want to be the daddy you desire to be the leader that you desire to be, it's going to require you to look at things a little different, where you have to remove your personal biases, your personal preferences out of the situation, so you can be in the moment So you can be in the moment, not only to listen, but learn, because I think that's the key right there. You say it took you a couple of times to get it. So, and I'll be honest, it took me a couple times to get it. It took me a couple of times to get it right. And it's going to take you a couple of times to get it right. One, it's uncomfortable to do things that you're not used to doing. So you're going to have to build up that muscle of being able to listen. And listening, I don't even know why I tip back on this, but let me tip back. Listening is a form of obedience. And I think that's some of the challenges we may have as men, is that now I have to obey my wife. Well, if that's how you look at it, just think about it as, you know what, this is an area that I'm going to have to learn to be obedient in, so I can lead myself better. So I can connect better. I want to bring it back to daddyhood, right? That I can connect better as a dad, you know, so I can nurture the fathering aspect of who I am. You know, I mean, think about it. The father is one of the greatest entities in structure of being a man. You know, when you are able to father a kid. You know, think about it. And back in biblical days, all the men wanted boys. You know, and when you had a boy, you felt, okay, I'm a father now. You know, and back in biblical time, they didn't give much essence to the daughter, because one, the lineage laid in the bloodline of the son. You know, we want to keep the name going. We want to keep the legacy going. So being a father is great, right? And so that's that thing that we have to learn, that just fathering is one aspect of being a daddy, you know, and building those relationships, listening, learning for yourself is the other aspect of being the dad or daddy, the daddy image that you prefer for your kids. I'm gonna say this. I have never said this out loud other than to my wife, right? I think, but I've always wanted girls. I didn't want no sons. Ready? I've always wanted 3 little girls. I always wanted 3 little girls. That was my prayer. God, just give me 3 little girls from the same woman. And thank God. Now, I've been married twice. And my son is the oldest. I wasn't married to his mom. And then I got married. I had 2 daughters in a previous marriage. And then my current wife, we have 3 girls together. And so I just reflect back on this lineage of fathering, you know, that God really gave me the desires of my heart. Like I said, so much so, I got my girls' names tattooed up, daddy's little girls tattooed on my back of my arm. They mean so much to me, right? So yeah, I always wanted little girls, interesting enough.
Yeah. Now you and I thank you for your transparency. You know, you said, you know, this is your second marriage. How did you? Because now that's a whole different dynamics. You know, you having your son in the picture. So how were you able to create that bond where everybody is on that, you know, on one accord?
Good question. It didn't come overnight. I can tell you that. You know, being in the military really takes you away from family. And so when my son was born, when he was first born, I moved to the city that he was raised in. And I lived there for some time, about 3 years. I think he was probably about 3 to probably about 6 years old. He might have been a little old. I can't remember the exact time frame, but I lived there for 3 years because I wanted to nurture the relationship. That was the thing I thought I can do to be the best dad I can be at the time. Then I married. I married and had 2 daughters, but I was in the military, but we lived in 2 different places. I lived where I worked. My wife at the time lived back home. She lived at home with the 2 kids, so I would come in and out. And so where I say this didn't come overnight, we divorced. Now I'm remarried. I got 3 kids. So there's breaks. There's disconnect. There's some things that need to be mended. There's some relationships that need to be formed, so to speak, right?
Right.
And
it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, right? And I'll be honest, I wasn't the man I am today then. if that makes sense, right? I was broken, I was confused, I was lost, I had no direction. I didn't know what I was doing as a dad. I was trying to do it the best way I knew. And I'll be honest, there was no blueprint for how to do these type of things. So I think
let me know when you find it.
You know what I mean? There's no blueprint. So I think it's almost 19 years, brother, of brokenness, disconnect, hurt, no communication, you know, and being able to get to this place of spirituality, finding God, understanding purpose for life, really helped mold me and my understanding for what it looked like to be a man, what it could look like to be a father, what it could look like to be a dad or daddy, you know. Now, my current girls, in my current marriage, I'm still daddy. I'm still daddy, and they a lot older, you know. And with my first wife, I have 2 daughters in that relationship, and I'm dad, but I'm the dad I really don't know. And so you have to configure that, you have to form that, you have to develop that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? With my son, there was a big disconnect because he had me and then I was gone. Right. You know, and now I'm traveling the world, and thank God he followed my steps. He went into the military eventually. He did 10 years himself, right? And so to mend all of that, I had to go back, you know, and intimately get to know them from a daddy perspective. Take time, literally take time, talk with them even when they didn't want to talk, and be understanding when they didn't want to talk. Mm-hmm. You know, be quiet enough or be still enough when they reacted to something because of their personal frustration, if that makes sense. You know, think about it. They didn't know me, so I couldn't get upset when they said, I don't have time for you right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, baby, I got it. Hey, give me a call when you do. Mm-hmm. When their phone does ring or when the text message does come in, guess what? I'm not talking about I ain't heard from you in 3 months. No, hey, babe, how you doing? Right. Where are you right now? Right. Are you understanding? I do. Let them hear that heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? That, hey, you know what? I'm not just a father. I'm a daddy. I love you. That intimacy. Right. You know, taking time and reconfiguring the relationship. Just sit on the phone and they don't even have anything to say. They don't even know what to say. If that makes sense, right? But I'm on the phone for 30, 40 minutes holding it with you. You breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm breathing out, you breathing in. What's happening? You're hearing the heartbeat. Mm-hmm. You're hearing the heartbeat. And occasionally, I'm just throwing in a few questions. Mm-hmm. You know, checking in, allowing, learning what you like, you know, what moves you, what motivates you. You know what I'm saying? If you can have anything in the world, or better yet, being attentive. Man, Daddy, you know, I was looking at this right here, this item, you know, and then all of a sudden they show up. Literally, these were things that I would actually do to mend these relationships. So much so that now when you call me, now I'm inviting you in conversation with my current family. Hey, I got Alicia on the phone. I wasn't gonna call the names, but I got Alicia on the phone, you know, and everybody, hey, Alicia, how you doing? And now they're connecting, they're talking. Hold on. Now they're texting each other. Happy birthday. Hey, how you doing? Hey, did you see this? They building, this all took time, brother. My son, I promise you, I hadn't seen my son. Saeed, I promise you, I can't put a number on it. I don't know when the last time I seen my son, bro. I don't know. But recently, he spent 10 years in the military. So I hadn't seen them 10 years. I left, went to the military. So there's a period of time I didn't see him, but we stay connected, we talk, but I didn't see him other than on a video, other than on a chat like we're doing, right? And so recently, my son came to spend a week with me and my family. How am I able to make that happen? Because I was mending it the whole time. I was building on it. I was inviting, you know, we were talking, everybody was collaborating together. I was patient. I didn't get frustrated in the midst of things. And don't get it twisted. It was frustrating when you don't want to talk to me. It's frustrating when you won't listen. Well, why would he listen? I ain't talked to you. I'm my own man, so to speak. It's in his head, and I don't need your advice, you know, so to speak. Might be why he may be thinking, but it was being intentional. It was being in the moment. It was being open-minded. It was really a place of being open-minded, and it was understanding the vision and purpose. If I can tell you anything, it was the vision and purpose for what I wanted. I know Here's my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to take my whole family to Hawaii and spend time in Hawaii all together. Now, it's been occasions where I had all my kids together. You know, I got 6. I had all 6 of them together. And there's been multiple times we've done that, but it hadn't really been, it was, you know how it was almost like a meet and greet each time, if that made sense.
Was a long extended time.
Yeah, it was always like a meet and greet. We regrouping again. But when my son came to visit this last time, and this was just a couple months ago, he was here in Colorado with me just a few months ago. He spent a week with us. And it wasn't like that. It was, you can see that it had been mended. Mm-hmm. You can see that the relationships have been mended. Him and the girls was loving on each other. They were having a great time. They was in conversation. Even him and my wife, man, it was just boom. It just mended itself together. And it all just took time. It took me getting out of my own way, not being offended by what was said, not reacting to things I didn't like, but taking a step back to understand, gain better perspective, so to speak.
Well said and well done. I applaud you on sticking with it, right? And as you were talking about, I'm thinking of the definition of love, right? Patient, long-suffering, tolerant. Like I'm thinking of those things, and as you were going through the stages of mending those relationships back together and bringing your family to be one unit, you was experiencing that. And I know there were some frustrating moments, but you had to you persevered. You stuck with it because like you said, you had the vision to bring everybody together to ultimately where you're going to have this moment in Hawaii and everybody is there together.
And my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to add this element. It's prayer, bro. It was prayer. It's been prayer. It's still prayer. If that makes sense. It's God first. It's God over everything. Then it's family, right? And I think just as an individual in my own personal walk, understanding who God is in my life, understanding how Christ came into my life and saved me, and being open enough to be molded or shaped in his image. Bruh, what you hear today is a guy who's been transformed in the love of Christ, because I couldn't do this 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years. I wouldn't have been able to create what's been created if I wasn't willing to be transformed, if I wasn't willing to grow myself, if I wasn't willing to make some changes, adapt some things in my life, to allow God to do his good work in me. Because this ain't nothing on my own. This is a place of surrender. Hold on, and surrendering multiple times, not just once, because you didn't always want to surrender. I didn't always walk. We all fall short. Let's just say it this way. This faith walk ain't easy. There's always a stumbling block. But I believe that when you keep God to the forefront, you keep praying and believing and trusting God through the process and do the work, take action in your own life to make the changes you need to make, man, you'll be surprised to see how God shows up. And I'm able to give this testimony because, literally, I'm able to give this. My son just left here 3 weeks ago. And I'm only giving this testimony now. It wasn't always like this. Yeah.
It's funny because I just came up with a shirt. It just came in and it say, pray, action.
Love it. Is it on the site? I need to get that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I see it.
And if you don't put the work in, if you don't act on it, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
So true.
Hey, look, man, I am excited on what God is doing for you. I'm excited in your transformation. In these men that you're working with and the men that you are going to be working with, they are in for something good. And I thank you for being who you are, being transparent and willing to share, because anyone who is listening, I know they can take some nuggets, some wisdom from this. And that's what this is all about. Us sharing our stories and our experiences, and so someone else can learn from them. Before we close out, is there any last words that you can give, like 30 seconds of words of wisdom for whoever's listening, what would you say to them, anybody who is trying to become a daddy?
Good question. For those who can be trying to become a dad, well, first off, let me say, man, this has been phenomenal. This was great. I'm thankful for the opportunity to influence, inspire, and ignite men to make the shift in their life, to identify the needed changes for themselves. I thank God for being able to be used as a vessel. And my advice to men, that want to be the best dad that they can be in life, I'm going to tell you, remove the limiting beliefs. Let go to the self-doubt. Think about the word believe. And dead and smack of the word believe. B-E-L-I-E. I'm sorry, B-E-L-I-E-V-E is the word lie. And it's so easy to believe the lie that you're not good enough, that no, they're not interested, that it's going to be difficult, or they'll never change, or you will never change. Listen, get removed from the lies in your life and get hold of what God has to say about you to you. What do you believe that God has called you to be as a father? What's the thing that you identify most about being a dad? And then, ready, take action on it. Become that. Just become that. Walk in confidence that you are the dad or daddy that you desire to become or be. That's my word to him.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dwayne. If anybody want to follow you, Dwayne, follow the leadership, how can they find you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So let me say, I probably didn't clarify, but I'm a speaker. I'm a podcast. I'm a coach. I'm a personal development coach for men. To follow me, you can follow me on my webpage at DwayneHRoberts.com. You can also find me on Facebook and LinkedIn under Dwayne Roberts. Just that simple. That's where I'm located, man. Shucks, I want to do this. I want to do this, man. For the men that's out there listening to the Daddyhood Movement podcast, do me a favor. Go ahead and text Daddyhood Movement. Text Daddyhood Movement to 719-733-3750. That's right. And what I'm gonna do for you is I got something special for you. Just that simple, man. Is that all right?
That's quite all right.
Bless those men out there. Yeah, I got something special for you, man. Text 719-733-3750. Text Daddyhood Movement, and we're going to help you really empower you to make that shift in your life. Just that simple. So hey, thank you so much, man, for the opportunity to come and share, man. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, awesome, brother. God bless.
Yeah, God bless you.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, that was awesome. Hey, you heard it. If you're trying to become a dad and move into daddyhood, it's going to require you to understand your role as a leader. And your role as a leader consists of you listening. The more we listen, the more we learn, and the more we can, as he said, take action. But the key thing is taking the proper action. As dads, we are difference makers, and as difference makers, we have to make sure that we move accordingly and move effectively and move with wisdom. As we move with wisdom, the better the world will be. They need us, guys. They need us. The world cannot exist without us. Daddyhood movement is particularly, we're talking about dads, we're talking about men. They need us. And we have to deliver. Thank you for listening, for being a part of this. And I hope that you check out the other videos. And if you're interested in the merch, you mentioned Daddy Love Change the World. If you're interested in that, you can go on the website, forloveofwisdom.com, and you scroll down, you will see the Daddyhood movement. You'll see a whole collection of things. You see up here in the daddy, who's daddy, who's the protector, provider, teacher. You'll see all that. That'll be there. But thanks for listening, and let's go do it. Let's go be it. Let's go have it. Let's go change the world. I was created to change the world. So are you. We are the solution. Daddyhood movement, brought to you by Flow, for love of wisdom. Peace.